Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Charles from the channel Books on Serial. I'm here to bring you another really special author interview today. I'm going to be interviewing the Amalie Howard, who, if you haven't read her book, she is a huge name in the historical romance world. If you haven't read her, you need to change those things and kind of reevaluate your life. But we're going to be talking about The Beast of Beswick and The Rake Hell of Roth, which are two of her newest releases in the Rogue Regency series, I believe. I always get the second book confused in my head. Somehow I call it the Roth Hell of Rake. And I'm like, wait, that doesn't sound right. But Beast of Beswick, I always know that title off the bat, so I always have to go back and be like, okay, it's a Rake Hell. I was like, even now, talking about it, I'm like, I don't know why I just like to get that title wrong, but how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you so much, Charles, for having me. I'm really psyched to be here. Yeah, no, Rick Hill is just such a cool word, but when you put it with Roth, it's such a tongue twister. Like, we should just have this game where you say it 10 times. Whoever gets it by the 10th time should win something, you know?
I just want to call it the purple cover book because that's
Right.
that's the easiest. But I was like, I
The
can't do that.
purple cover book, it's so pretty.
It's so
Uh,
pretty. It's it's my favorite book out of the two. Like I like it
Aw,
just a
thank
little bit
you.
more. It worked for, I just love the heroine in that one, and then the hero's just like, okay, but we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. But
Right.
first question I wanted to ask you is, how did you get into writing romance and then historical romance?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually started writing in the young adult area of books. My first published book was in 2011, and that was like a witch vampire sort of book. Yeah, it's on the back there. It's Bloodspell, epic, war between witches and vampires, forbidden love. I mean, it's a decade old, but still one of my favorite stories. And I wrote some sci-fi as well. All have romance in them, so I've always loved writing romance. And then I actually got into writing historical romance when a friend of mine, Paige Morgan, who writes as Angie Morgan in our co-written series, we're just messing around one day. Just we love talking about our manly marquesses and our dashing dukes, and we started writing in a Google Doc, and then realized that we had a book, and we were like, okay, let's see if our agents would like to sell this, and they did. They sold the series to Entangled. So that was the Lords of Essex series, and that's 4 books. And then the Titans and Tartan series was a spinoff of that, and that's 3 books. So I co-wrote 7 books together with Angie, and then I went out with Beast of Beswick and Rake Hell of Roth on my own.
Wow, that's a very interesting path. Like starting out with YA, where there is no
Hmm.
smut, and then you just
None, none.
slowly build up the romance in all your books,
I
and now you're
smuttified.
finally full on
Yep,
historical,
I
and now
smuttified
you're full on.
myself totally. I dove right into that. I was like,
Hey,
give it to me.
hey, I've seen some YA nowadays that's in the smut. It gets through, but I was like, hold up. Like, this is not YA. I can't imagine like a 13-year-old. I'm handing
Yeah,
them this book and like, oh yeah, I didn't tell the parents that there's like some smut in there.
right. I think there's like a big difference with like romantic tension because you can still get that
Hmm.
huge intimacy, right? But that's a
Hmm.
lot of YAs, that build up of the kissing and the romantic tension. And then anything that happens, because we'd be, I think, naive as grown-ups or even older teens to think that teens don't know what sex is. So
Hmm.
a lot of it is closed door or it might be on the page. I mean, it depends
Hmm.
on the author, I think. And then also, like, I have 3 kids and 2 of them are teens. I always make sure that I know what my kids are reading. You know what I mean? I don't expect an author to be like, tell my kid what are the parameters for your book, you know?
Hmm.
Listen, I went in my mom's library when I was 15 to read Erica Jong. So like, that was super adult.
Hey, we always read things when we're younger that we're not supposed to read.
So
Like
much.
I hear so many people who have read Stephen King like it way
Oh,
before they should have, and I was like, oh wow.
right.
I'm wondering like how like 12-year-old me would react to what happens at the end of that book. I was like, Stephen King.
And I totally used to go steal my grandma's Harlequins and put them inside my textbooks. I'd be reading those all day long. So good.
I know. I started getting into Harlequins, and they are some of the easiest bingeable books
So
that I've
good.
ever read. And then I dive into the world of novellas, and then like I'm just ruined. Like I'm ruined for full like novels now because now my back of my brain is like, remember that one novella where they just start going at it at like
Right.
chapter 2?
You're like,
That's the whole novella.
I need no prep. I just need to be in the action.
It's like that's been my critique of like almost every like some of all the books that I read. I'm like, it could have been smuttier. I was
Right.
like, what do you? I was like, what? Like Charles, like, what do you want?
You know, I'm laughing because like I was reading, you know, I mean, authors don't really read reviews, but I can't remember why I saw this one. And the author was like, this book was really good, but too much sex. And I was like, wait, what?
What?
I was like, one click, one click.
That's like the opposite. Like that makes me want to go read the book even more.
Same.
If you tell me closed door, I'm like, ooh.
I bought a book one time where a reviewer said this book is filthy, and I was like, okay, that's mine. I shall have it.
And then I silently judged the reviewer, and I'm like, this is tame. Like, what are you talking about?
I know. This is like a 3 on a 5. Like for heat scale, come on.
That's so true. But one of the reasons why like the Beast kind of flew on my radar was I saw like the Queen Sarah McLean. I was like, I love her books. I was like, hold on, let me check out this Beast of Beswick. It's giving me the Beauty and Beast vibes. The cover is really beautiful. And then like I was just blown away. So I wanted to ask you, what was the idea behind the series?
So, I mean, the whole concept, the pitch concept was Beauty and the Beast meets Taming of the Shrew. So it's kind of like fairy tales mashed up with Shakespeare is sort of the concept, the overarching concept for the series. And so Beauty and the Beast, I mean, obviously you want to follow it. And mine was more like the Disney. So I had like, you know, Lumiere in there a little bit, and I had Cogsworth in there a little bit. And then the Taming of the Shrew obviously was Astrid's personality. She was very opinionated and smart and wanted to like carve her own path, and she was very protective towards her sister. So all those elements kind of mashed together, and I really liked sort of that whole concept. And then Raquel of Roth was Sleeping Beauty meets As You Like It. So in that I had like the fairies, which were the 3 friends. I had Isabel waking up from sort of a, you know, kind of like she was asleep, and all of a sudden she learned about her, you know, sexual agency, her feminine agency, and decided, hey, this is what I want for my future. I'm going to go get it. And then on the As You Like It side, you know, in that play by Shakespeare, there's a dual relationship going on. So that's kind of where the Clarissa element came in from. There's also the hidden identity element, where the Rosalind, I believe it is, and As You Like It dresses up as a stable a groomsman. So it was it's interesting to write it, but I just love the whole concept. To me, it was just so cool to be able to do that.
Yeah, and I loved it because it's with so many historicals that come out each and every year, it's hard to make an historical stand out from every other like Duke, Beauty and the Beast retelling. Like there's probably dozens, if not like hundreds of them. And I read this book and I was like, oh, like even if you didn't hook me in with Beauty and the Beast, I stayed for the characters. And like when Sarah McLean blurred the book, I was like, okay, I know Amelie's gonna do right by these characters, and you do. Like I was invested by book 1. I was like, I need the sisters book. Like I need book 2 right now. As soon as I read book 1, and I love that when I can dig into the characters and really get to know them, and not be like, okay, what was that character's name? What was the side character? Who was the spinoff book even about? Hold on, let me go read the first book. I'm like, oh, that's this character. But because like sometimes in romance, I'm guilty of that. Like I forget who the side characters are because they just don't make an impression to me. But I love how you take time with characters, how you take time with the romance, and then you actually do the work of showing the reader why the romance between these 2 characters work. It's not like insta lust, insta love, and then happily ever after. So I was wondering, how did you go about plotting, especially in the first book, their relationship journey? Because I think comparing book 1 and book 2, they're very different types of romances.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that. That means a lot. That really, like, I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you. You know, I mean, when you're plotting this type of book, the thing with romance that I love is that whole enemies to lovers is one of my favorite tropes, just because, you know, it's so exciting and you want to figure out why these 2 are, you know, at loggerheads and how do you make them mesh a little better, right? So, you know, I mean, with Astrid and Thane, it was really just they each had these rough edges, and it was like a puzzle piece in terms of how do I get them to fit together? How do I get him to value her? How do I get her to tell him to lower his walls and all of the protective things that he's kind of, you know, safeguarding his emotions against? And I think like I really love them as characters because they really do, you do root for them in the end, because you see Thane, like this beastly character who just really has been through so much. He was at war, people shunned him, people called him ugly and think he's mean and abrasive. And then you have this woman who has no time for that. She's like, nope, I got to take care of my sister. I really am not even looking at you. I'm not even looking at you. I just need your name and just give it to me. And, when she starts to fall for him, I almost think that it's more satisfying, just because she was so like, I'm a spinster. I don't need anything. But she did need something. She needed him, and she didn't realize it. So as a reader, I hope that I was able to take you on that journey to sort of discover that as well, while she discovers it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's a compliment if you make me forget. I was like, wait, they haven't banged or they haven't kissed yet. I was like, what is happening? If you can make me forget that and not make me go into my novella head, I'm like, okay, you done something well. You tricked me into like falling in love with the story.
Oh, Charles, my whole build up to that study scene in Beast of Beswick was like, okay, yeah, this is where he's like, hold these skirts, and I'm like, oh, that scene was just like, yeah, okay. Like, that's a lot of tension.
I was like, Amalie, how dare you do a slow burn on me? But I'm enjoying it. A slow burn is anything. Like, if it takes more than 3 chapters, I'm like, okay, this is a slow burn now. Like, I'm gonna have to wait for it, but it was so worth the wait.
I'm so glad that I gave you the banging in the first chapter of Raquel then.
I appreciate that.
That was all for you.
And then you did a time jump, and I was like, wait, what?
What is happening?
I was like, did we just jump 4 years?
Yeah.
But one of the things I love about the heroine from the Beast of Beswick is you kind of take the wallflower trope, the spinster trope, and kind of turn on its head. I won't spoil the reason, but the reason why she was ruined and how that kind of factors into that story, and kind of how it touches into like the Me Too almost conversation. Yep. Like, was there something conscious that you wanted to do when you were writing her character?
I think with like even talking about the Me Too movement is like, if you have a woman who isn't believed, or back in those days in the Regency era, if a man did something or said something, it was always his word over the woman. It didn't even matter. So she had like no rights. So the fact that, if a man said a woman did X, she literally was ruined, and she could either go become something awful, and there's lots of avenues for ruined, debutantes, women who couldn't make acceptable matches. But Astrid was kind of like, no, she kind of said, okay, this is the society I have to live in. These are the rules I have to live by. But hey, I'm going to carve my own path. I'm not going to have somebody tell me that I'm a fallen woman or a broken woman or something less than, because a man who had an agenda decreed it to be so. Obviously most women have had experiences like that where they're afraid that they won't be believed. I think it was important to show that even if you aren't believed, you can still be, even if you aren't believed, there are people who will still believe you, like her sister. There are people who will still stand by you, and you also have to be strong for yourself. And obviously I know like there's different resources for people who have been through any kind of trauma, but I've been personally, and you put all that, as a writer, you put all that stuff in books. So, yeah, I hope that people would take from Astrid, like, all right, if she's doing it, I'm going to take a little bit of, and people read through their own lens. So something that I might pick up, and I'll give you an example. I had this kid, who asked me to read the 4th Twilight book. And, there's a vampire C-section in this book, right? And I'm like, I've had 3 C-sections. So I'm reading it. And this little girl, she's like 11. She's like, can I borrow it? And I was like, can I talk to your mom about this? and her mom was totally fine. So I loaned her my copy. It went straight over her head because she's 11. She doesn't know what a C-section is. She's not even thinking. Meanwhile, I'm thinking about teeth ripping into stomach muscles. And I'm like, okay, something's wrong here. But that's what I mean. Like, different people read with different lenses, right? Mm-hmm. Depending on who you are, where you live, where you've come from, anything.
Yeah, because I love how she didn't use that as like a crutch to like get what she needed, and like, oh, see, like I'm a damsel. See what happened to me? Let me go tell my story. It actually comes out pretty late within the book, and the hero just kind of like automatically believes her, and then like you have the interaction when he comes back into their. Okay, I'm spoiling a little bit. That character
Yeah.
comes back in some way that's tied to what happened to
Yep.
Astrid, and I just love the hero was just like, I will ruin you if you come back.
Right. I
I was
know.
like,
Don't come here.
I love that because I feel that's so many of the critiques against historical romance is how do you modernize women with making them seem like it still takes place in that time period
Right.
because you just can't. It's like a really hard balance, and I love in your books like just look at that twist of the wallflower spinster trope and adding that in there and having that character be because like when it started I was like wait. I was like, what is that? I was like, I was expecting like a completely different storyline and it just kind of veered off into another direction, which I absolutely loved. I was like, I like how you took our characters. I like how you still have your alpha hero. You still have all those things that you love about historical romance, but you kind of updated it while still making you feel new and fresh and modern,
Yep.
and definitely appeals for modern day readers. I just wanted to gush about it and tell you that.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, one of the best compliments I got early on about The Beast of Beswick was that it was like the love child of Sarah and Tessa Dare. And I was like, okay, I'm good with that. I'm fine with that. Thank you.
I was thinking when we were talking, I was like, it's literally like if you took the Duchess deal and one of her like bare knuckle bastard books and
Yep.
like merged them together, and that's your book.
And then married them and they had babies, really pretty babies. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're both super talented writers. So like, any kind of comparison, like I'm super grateful for.
Hey, your writing is amazing. Like
Thank
I'm
you.
usually like a serial like 3.5 Audible listener. I was like, hold on, I just need to slow this down because I'm just enjoying the writing so much.
Oh, that means a
Enjoying the
lot.
characters, enjoying the plot. Usually for romance, I'm just like, okay, when are they gonna get together? Okay, when. I know we're
Yeah.
gonna have to go through all these miscommunications and the third act obstacle that feels completely set up. But I want to skip to the second book. I'm already like I just pronounced the title before in this video and I already forgot. I already feel like I'm gonna say it wrong. The Rake Hell of Roth.
You got it.
I was totally about to say the Roth Hell of Roth. I don't even know
Raquel.
why it just like gets mixed up in my brain. Do not ask me to say that title like 10 times. Like
10 times fast.
I'll be like, what is it again? Like,
I'm going to
hold on, let me
secretly send you messages in the middle of the night and be like, say it.
I was like, never. I was like, I would just refer to the purple book cover.
Right.
But this one is such an interesting romance because you have them married. That's not technically a spoiler. And then you fast forward like 5 years, 4 or 5 years, and it's like this whole completely other different story where the hero just kind of like, after they christen their marriage, they're like, okay, the hero's like, bye. I'm going to go live somewhere else. And you're just going to be there for 4 years. I was like, I felt for the hero. I was like, you better go over there and drag him. It's like, how did you wait 4 long years to get that together? It's like, how did approaching that romance change when you already have? Because you get a brief glimpse of them and you see that they have a little chemistry. They have something there.
Yep.
To like that time jump and still kind of showing that chemistry is still there.
I feel like, yeah, totally. I feel like I wanted to show, like, when you have roses in your eyes, when you meet somebody and you're like, oh my God, this relationship is magical. And then all of a sudden it just starts not becoming magical. There's two ways you can go. You can break up or you can try to figure out where the magic comes from and how to fix it. In those days, if you got married, it wasn't like you can just move on and find another partner. So when he decided to leave her there, because remember, women had no rights. They were property. So he said, you go live here and I'm going to go gallivant. And she started like seeing all the newspaper articles about her, marauding, I think that's how you say it, husband and gallivanting husband all over England. And she was like, I don't like this. And then, she started kind of coming into her own, realizing, hey, I'm a woman. These are my wants, my desires, my needs. And with someone like Clarissa on her side, it was kind of cool seeing her sort of grow. Even though it was a jump, I hoped to be able to sort of establish that chemistry, like you just said. They had physical compatibility. She had her roses in her eyes. And then when he sees her, when she first shows up, that chemistry is still there, right? When she walks into his residence and it's like, okay, it's going to be hot when it happens. So you kind of want to make sure that chemistry is still, alive and kicking. And then you have all the other machinations, right? Where she's like, oh, you going to play my game. Okay.
I'll
You're going to
play
do what
your
I
game.
want. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know, I'm going to show you what I want, and this is how I'm going to get it. I think writing Isabel was really fun just because she was so shy-ish and sort of spoiled in the first book. But with a role model like Astrid, I really don't think she could have turned out any other way, you
No,
know?
she could have,
Yeah.
like if it did like Asher. I could see Asher just come back and going like, Isabel, get it together.
Right? Yeah. So yeah, it was actually a new thing for me to do that jump because normally with jumps, and I read quite voraciously as well. Um,
Mhm,
and I'll give you my example of the jump that nearly killed my love of reading. I think it was Justin Cronin who did it in The Passage. So like
mhm,
obviously that book's old, so I don't want to spoil it too much, but almost halfway into that book, everybody dies except for one person. And then they start over anew. And I was like, wait, I'm invested. I don't know what's happening. I feel so lost. I read it to finish it, but like I never want to do that. I never want to shortchange a
mhm,
reader or have a reader be so jarred that they're not willing to just go on.
mhm,
So I hope that I was able to kind of show that. And then I also wanted, look, writing historical romance, she got married at 17. That's really young. So I wanted to make her a
mhm,
little older to be more,
mhm,
you know, have more sexual agency, more female agency, sort of thing, you know?
mhm. I think you did a really great job because I was just wondering because like just setting up a romance in that particular way, it's kind of banking on that first couple of nights that you get to meet with a couple in the beginning in
Yep.
order to really set up the second half. Because if you kind of like if you don't invest in that first half and you don't see that chemistry, you're gonna be like, why is she even here? Like, why didn't she just stay where she is and
Yep.
just like live like a lap of luxury? And she's like, okay, husband, you stay over there. I'm gonna like go have some side
Right?
things over here. So I love that because immediately when they come back together, like the chemistry's there. The hero has some like basically he has some daddy issues.
They
I
made
like how you
major.
kind of intertwine the dad, and the dad's
Yeah.
not actually that bad
Yep.
in the book. I was like, come on, like your dad's not even that bad. Like, come on, get over these issues. But I like how you made him celibate, I believe,
Hmm.
after their first night, so it
Yeah.
wasn't like he was cheating. Because I was like,
I
oh,
am
is
such a like I am a non cheating is like a no for me. And I mean I
mhm,
know people have different content warnings, trigger warnings in books, but like cheating, I can't read it. And that's just
mhm,
a personal thing, you know. I mean, even yeah, I'm not built that way. Lots of people are different, and you know, there's relationships and romances for everyone in romance, which is the beauty
mhm.
of romance. But yeah, for me, I'm like, yeah, there's gonna be no cheating. Otherwise, I'd break his legs. His knees would have been broken by like, you know, his wife.
Hey, a lot of romance readers would come for you. They'd be like, "Why am I rooting for him? He cheated on her for like
I know.
4 years."
Ew.
Like
Ew.
that's a hard. That's like a lot of groveling. That's like a whole other
Mm,
book of groveling that he would have to
yeah.
do, and I'll be like, "Okay, okay, you guys can like you can
Yeah.
maybe be in the same room together."
Right? I know. There's yeah.
But I just love like did you have any were you always like intending to do that time jump when you first started drafting out the book and has it ever changed?
I'm trying to think back of earlier versions. I think I always had the time jump just because she was so
Hmm.
young when they first got married. And keep in mind, back in that period, people got married at like 14, 15, 16. You know, but obviously we're writing historical romance, which is one of the challenges. We're writing historical romance for modern readers. So while we're trying to be authentic to the period, and I'm going to speak for myself as a writer, I like to keep things pretty authentic with, you know, historical research and historical details and real people who lived in the period. Um, but I'm very conscious of the fact that in terms of addressing themes and whatnot, I'm writing for modern readers. So consent, huge thing,
Hmm.
right? If you read a historical romance book from 25 years ago, a
Hmm.
guy drags a girl into his house, they're married, and he has his way with her, and you're like, this book is so like, look at her, like, you know, or him doing something, you're like, that's
Yeah.
very like problematic today, you know,
Hmm.
but that's not going to make me stop loving Judith McNaught. You know, I have all her books on my shelf, but
Yeah.
you know, there's some themes in there that are questionable,
Hmm.
especially with, you know, modern sensibilities.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that because I feel like romance is one of the few genres that's very much a little bit almost like a mini reflection of the time period that it came out in. Like I would like there's some 2000 books that
Hmm.
would just not happen. Like if someone did Twilight again in the modern day, everyone would be like, no, 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 no. The girl has no agency.
Hmm.
XYZ. This is not
Oh no, he
like
is
it
not
probably
standing at the bottom of this bed. He is not standing there. I'm kidding.
like there's so many things that like is so specific to what the time period is and what readers want. Because I
Hmm.
feel like romance is one of the few genres that you guys like don't make us wait years and years and years for books. It's like, oh, they have a release every year, or they have like 3 releases every year. That's normal. Versus fantasy is like, okay, we're gonna wait like 5 years for the
Right.
next book. And romance is like, hey, I already finished like 2 series. Like, come
Right.
on. Like, what are you doing?
Exactly.
So, like, talking about the second half a little bit, I was like a little bit skeptical. I was like, how is she gonna make this work? And then how did you come about like not spoilery detail, the wager that these two characters strike? Was it something that you always knew was going to happen, or that was just something that you kind of discovered when you were writing the book
You
to
know,
kind
I
of like
think,
ratchet
yeah,
the tension?
I think a lot of like writing, sometimes for me with my process, like I'll have a synopsis, so I know
Mm,
where things are going, but the wager idea kind of came out of them having this banter about her saying like, you don't know who I am or who I've become because you haven't been around. So how can you say you know me? And he's like, you're just a little girl, just go. You're a little tiny mouse, country mouse, go back to where you should be in the country house. And she's like, hell no. And then that's how the wager happened. So I think sometimes when you have an idea of where you're going, like I knew they were going to have that scene near the well, but the wager happened because he basically taunted her. He taunted
mm.
her with her youth and her inexperience, and she's like, I can't help that. My husband left me for 3 years. What do you want me to do? Like,
I was
you
like,
know,
when he said that, I was like, you have the audacity. I was like,
right?
let me get into this book and like give you a piece of my mind. I was like, 3 or 4 years. I was like, excuse me.
Yeah.
After
And
you
and
just
I
like,
and I and I know that like some readers like got frustrated with Winter, but Winter like he is typical sometimes with cluelessness. Like I've been married
mhm.
in August, I'll be married 21 years, and I swear to God, sometimes my husband will be say something, I'll be like, "What? Like you did not just say that. You did not just say that." And he's like, he has no concept. Anyway, I mean, sometimes you need the message like 3 times, 4 times before it starts to sink in, right? Um, yeah. So I mean, with that scene, I think like the wager scene, that was her kind of bristling to his challenge.
And like, did you kind of like to play with like the idea of like the damage? Because I feel like in Beast of Desert, we kind of get like a different type of damage alpha hero, and this one we get a little bit different one, but it's actually not nearly as bad. It's like mostly in his own head.
Mhm.
So, did you intentionally want to play with that idea? Because I feel like the whole like brooding, like devastated, like kind of like alpha hero is like something that you see a ton in romance, but it's
Yep.
actually just like a really really sad background, and like they have tons of stuff to deal with.
Yep.
I like how this one, his father was actually like a good guy, and was like helping to support Isabel throughout the
Yep.
whole entire process. I was like, I like his father. It's like
Yep.
usually like the family relations are like horrible, but like he has a good family. I'm like, Winter, get it together.
Right. No, and I wanted that like sort of ambiguity, right? Because I wanted him to have an idea of his father and be completely wrong that he had
Mhm,
misconstrued what happened with his mother, what happened with his sister, and with Oliver as well. Like that was
mhm,
a big thing. I wanted him to like just and I mean this stuff happens in families all the time, right? You have
mhm.
sibling misunderstandings, you have I even with my 3 kids, they'll be arguing about something and I'll be like, what are you guys arguing about? And one of them will say, well, he said this. I'm like, and then he'll say like, I didn't say that. You know what I mean? But like the
Yeah.
hugest rifts can occur because of a simple misunderstanding. And yeah,
Mhm.
guess what? We could eliminate those rifts with communication, but where's the fun in that? Might as well draw it out for as long as it lasts, create
Hey,
some
but
tension and some
it works in
conflict,
this book. Like usually miscommunication in some books does not work. I'm like, okay, that was dumb. You literally could just ask that
right?
person, what did you mean by that?
Yeah,
But I love how it was such an interesting conflict because it wouldn't be something you just like go like, hey, let me go talk to you about this
right?
X, Y, and Z. Like
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
so interesting like how you did it. So like, okay, I get it. Like if I was in his shoes, like I probably wouldn't want to talk to my dad about what I've been feeling because like it's
Yeah,
it was a really great way.
especially if you think your dad's the bad guy, like you're also thinking, why should I give him any time of day, even though you're
Hmm.
wrong? So like I think
Hmm.
hopefully when that expose happens, because you're already looking at it from Isabel's perspective, and you're like, oh, wait a second, something's not right here.
It's not
You
right.
know? Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that because it was like it was miscommunication but done well.
Thank you.
And
Thanks
it
so
was
much.
drawn out, and you get to get that tension. I was like, okay, I get it when everything is revealed, and you're like, oh, okay, like I get that. Like that's like a miscommunication with how you're mentioning with your kids. Like I can see that happening. An event
Right.
happens, you all have different perspectives, and then you just kind of stay in your own corner because the father didn't like fully reach out in that time period. And like when Isabel comes back, he's like, okay, like
Right.
let's try to get my son back, and like let's try to get the family back together. And I
Yeah.
love that so much that you took that trope and you just like went like, okay, we're gonna do this a little bit a different way. His family is not
Yeah.
gonna be horrible. It's mostly gonna be his own interpretations of what happened. And like I just love that. That was like a
Oh,
cool little reveal, and having Isabel be such like just from the beginning that we see her and up to like after the 4 year jump, she is such a different character. She's like wildly different. Is this Astrid? Did you
she got she
slang
got
Isabel and
she
like took
got
on
she
Astrid's
got
persona?
she got Clarissa. Like, and I love the fact that Clarissa is so she was so she everyone needs a friend like her. And I got like a lot of letters from people who are saying how much they love that friendship. And it's like I think female friendships are underrated in in just in general. Because I mean, yeah, you can have the catty female friend, but it's nice to have the friend who has your back. I mean, I've had my share of friends that I want to bury 6 feet. I'm kidding. I don't want to do that, but yeah, yeah. You
And
know what I mean?
and the whole sister relationship that kind of binds the two. Because I don't think I've read I read some historicals that have a sister element that connects all
Yeah.
three books, but you don't actually see the sisters really interact. It's more focused on like their own separate adventures, and you
Hmm.
just know like, oh, this is this person's sister, so they're gonna have their own book. But I love how you explore those different female relationships in this book. Like you have like the strong male characters, but like the female characters don't just sit around talking about all male characters. They actually have their own. I guess like what is it? The Myers Briggs. I forgot what the test is. Like to see if you can pass it, where you have two women in the scene, but they're not talking about a man
Oh,
or
okay.
something like
All
that.
right.
I'm
All
forgetting the
right.
test, but like I love how the female characters like have their own like storylines. They have
Yeah.
their own relationships. Like the whole sisterhood between Astrid and Isabel is like really strong throughout these books. And then having Clarissa as a best friend in the second book, it's like I like this because usually you find in romances the heroine tends to be like more isolated, and
Yeah.
she may say like, oh, they have friends, but you never really see them meaningfully on the page, actually interacting with the plot. So it's usually just a heroine like the hero, and they're just like off in another dimension. Friends are completely
Right.
out the window until you get to the third act when that best friend you thought was like the
Right.
best friend does something super catty, and you're like, can we just have like really good female
Can we just have
friendships?
some tea? Yeah.
But will ever Clarissa get her own book?
So Clarissa, she's with Oliver. So
Oh yes, yes,
yeah,
yes,
because there was a
yes.
parallel romance, and that's the As You Like It
Mm-hmm.
uh
I
little
completely forgot about that.
tidbit from there.
I just love the A-line romance. I was like, oh wait, I completely forgot about that. I was like,
Yeah.
now I have to do a reread. Dang.
She and Oliver had their tea, remember? The
Yeah. Oh
tea.
yes, 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 yes. I remember.
Uh,
I feel like such like an idiot for not remembering that. I was like,
oh no, it's
when
all
is
right.
Clarissa getting in her book? And I was
Yeah.
like, you just completely like threw out, and you're just like all on Winter and Isabel. Like that sounds like something I would do. Just like cut out all the things, just like focus on the one thing I love. I'm like, oh yeah, that happened in the book too.
Hmm.
So going into some of your upcoming releases, is there anything you can tell us about the book that I believe is the Princess and
The Princess Stakes.
the Princess Stakes? Like, can you tell
Yeah.
us a little bit more about that book?
So this is the cover. Oh, why is that?
The
There's
cover
people.
is beautiful. We
The
have it.
cover is like so amazing. Like I
I
love
want
it. I
that
love
right
the
now.
colors. I know, right? It's got a brown skinned woman on the cover. She's biracial. I'm really excited about it. So she's a biracial Indian princess who's on the run from an assassin and ends up on the ship of the boy she once spurned, who is now a duke. So there's only one
Ooh.
cabin and they're kind of stuck in there. And then there's a fake engagement later on. And, I mean, as far as the like touching on the interracial stuff, like, I do address it. I did a lot of research into Sophia Duleep Singh, who was like a Victorian Sikh princess who lived in England. She was Victoria's goddaughter.
Oh,
And
wow.
she experienced a lot of racism when she,
Mhm.
would attend court, even though she outranked all of them. So
Mhm.
in my research, I really applied it because I had to balance, because you want to have those historical details, but at the same time, you have to remind yourself it's a romance. So you don't want to
Mhm.
lose sight of, what the like main goal is. But as a BIPOC writer, I felt like I needed to address those things in the book. So hopefully there's a good balance. I'm really, really proud of it. We had there were some things pointed out last year that were problematic, and I mean, I have to say the but, because, and I'll give you the example was the word plantation, which is a pretty shitty word,
Mhm.
just here in the US. But I grew up in Trinidad and Tobago, which, when you think about it,
Mhm.
every single inch of land was a sugar colony plantation.
Mhm.
So my upbringing was very different to living in the United States. That doesn't mean that me as a writer shouldn't be very conscious and sensitive and thoughtful about what I'm putting on the page.
Mhm.
So I did do a lot of work for the Princess Stakes. My publisher was amazing. My agent was amazing. They delayed the book it was supposed to come out in January. So now it comes out in June. And I had 10 sensitivity reads on it, which is huge for a BIPOC author. I mean,
That's
it's a lot.
amazing. That's
So
amazing.
I hope that people love it. I'm proud of the work that went into it. We need more diverse historical romances, and
Mhm.
I'm really glad to have written one and to have two coming out this year. The
Mhm.
sequel's Rules for Heiresses, and that comes out in October.
Oh, so you're not gonna make us wait long.
No, 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 no.
That's amazing. Like
Yep.
when I saw the cover, I was like, "Oh my goodness, we're getting a biracial Indian character heroine." I was like,
Oh, she's so good. And then
I
the
can't remember when I have like seen one of those.
Right? No, that's what I mean. And I think like Sourcebooks like did such an incredible job with this cover, because this woman, like,
Mhm.
she is just so beautiful. And then the second book, the guy is biracial and he is hella hot.
Mhm. I saw the covers. I was like,
Oh my
"Ooh."
God.
I
I
was
would
like,
like
I felt like messaging you, Amelie. Is like, why don't I have an arc for this
I
already?
was like, I will climb him like a tree. Like a mango tree. You know what? If you want an arc, I'll get you one.
Please.
Yes.
I saw a friend get an arc, and I like side eyed her. I'm like, little do you know,
Right.
I'm actually talking.
Yay.
like
Well,
like you
so
may have won the book, but I have won the whole competition.
after we finish up, I'll get you both of them. I have a widget for the first one, but yeah, the second one I'll get my
Oh, that's
publisher to send
amazing.
it.
So, is there going to be any more books, or is just only a duology for now? Is there any more stories that you wanted to explore in that
So
world, or?
so the Raquel of Roth series is just the two books for now. The Princess Stakes and Rules for Heiresses is just the two for now with source books.
Okay.
But I've signed a 90s rom-com retelling historical romance with Forever. And that comes out in January of 2022. And the first one's a retelling of Pretty Woman, but she's a French ballerina.
No, I need this now.
Right?
How do you know like what I want to read? I was like, you said pretty. I was like, a
And
90s
it's so,
retelling? Like,
yeah. So, like, think of like Pretty Woman in the Victorian era with a French ballerina and a surly duke who loves theater.
I want this. Like, I don't need. I like you sold me on. Like, I think everyone who's going to be watching this, like, that they're sold on the plot on that one. Like, easily. That's all you had to tell me. You just like, I'm already sold. You have like booked up like and wrecked my TBR plans for the rest
Oh,
of the year with
yay!
3 books. Like, how do you have time?
That
Like, do you
makes
have
it
any other
makes me
books
so
planned after
happy.
the? Do you have
I
any
do.
other books planned after the third book that you can give us a little details about?
And so after that other series comes out, which is going to be just rom-com films that are,
Hmm.
that I've kind of I'm doing the retellings on. I just signed a young adult contract with Joy Revolution for BIPOC Bridgerton meets The Count of Monte Cristo, and I'm super excited about it because it's going to be pretty brown girls in big, beautiful dresses from the
Yes.
Regency era. There's going to be revenge and like lots of like, just Machiavellian type plots. So hopefully, and I can't wait for that. That comes out next fall, 2022.
Oh,
I'm
you
so
are.
excited to work with Joy. I'm like freaking out. It's so awesome.
I want to read all these like right now. Like, just like cancel sleep. Give me all these books. I will read them all because they all sound so good. And like YA, you're going
Yeah,
back to YA.
back to YA. At least, just for
Mhm.
hopefully for one and maybe a follow up. But yeah, that's in tandem with the romance books with Grand Central Forever. So I'm really excited about that.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting because I was also very curious to ask you, is there any other genres, like it can be in romance or like outside of romance that you kind of want to dabble into?
I've kind of touched on fantasy, science fiction, mostly YA, and then historical romance for adult. Um, I kind of like those areas. I don't know if I'd be really good at contemporary. I do like to read it a lot. I read a
Mhm.
lot of it. But yeah, that's probably it, I think. I don't know if there's maybe go back to the fantasy sci-fi world, which I
Would you ever?
love just because there's so much freedom in it to build, world build. I love that.
Yes, I love me some good vampire paranormal.
So good.
Like, give me some Cressley Cole. Give me those vibes, and like
Yep.
you have me. You have me at the palm of your hand. You just go like I'm a sucker for vampires. Like it could be you could say vampires, adult romance. Okay, what is this book? I
Oh
need to know
gosh,
what
we're
it
like we're
is.
like soulmates because I'm like Googling what are the newest vampire romances. I need them. Have you read Jen Armentrout's series?
I just finished book one. I still have books two and three to finish, and
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm in love.
yeah.
I'm in
I mean,
love.
yep,
Like the twists that happened. Like some people warned
yep.
me. Like they didn't tell me what was gonna happen. They said, but the last 200 pages ish, like just goes crazy. And I was like, it did. I was like, I
Yeah.
did not see any of that coming. I was like, this is what I need. Like these
I like
epic
I
tomes.
I go kind of like I'm trying to look at my Kindle because like right now I'm like I think there was a series that it's like the Vampire King series. It's I forget the author, but like I literally am waiting for the seventh book to come out because they're like the quick reads
Mhm.
that you like, but with the it's very steamy. So I was like all over it. I think it's like the Vampire King series is called.
Okay.
That I read, and then I read Jamin Eve's Shadow Beast Shifters. It's like shifters, so they're wolves, but it was
Mhm.
so good. I couldn't stop.
Like I love like Paranormal like one of those ones where I can take like any steam level because I just love it. Like I didn't think I would love Molly Harper. I think that's the author's name. Her Half Moon Hollow series, I believe that's what it's called. It's more like True
I have
Blood,
that.
but like
Okay.
funnier. It's like True
Yeah.
Blood but funnier.
Right.
Not super focused on the romance at all times, but it's like it's just so funny like how she becomes a vampire and following out her journey. Like it's
Yep.
that first book, like, it's a murder mystery, and like the heroine like keeps on showing up at places, and then people die. And everyone's like, it could have only been you. You're the only one
Did
to
you kill
walk out
them?
alive.
Yeah, I know,
And she's
right?
like, I didn't.
Right.
But that's the one I really would recommend. But I was wondering,
Cool.
would you ever kind of dive into like mystery or like action suspense, or kind of like
Um,
include a little bit more in your historicals?
I don't know. Like, I really love how like Kerrigan Byrne does that. Like, she is
Hmm.
just phenomenal at writing. The suspense and the darker
Hmm.
stuff with the mystery. I love her writing. Like, I'll read anything she writes. But I don't know if I could pull it off. Like, I mean, I could try. I kind of trying it in the YA coming out because it's super
Hmm.
twisty, even with all of the frills and the fancies and all the really nice, frothy things.
Hmm.
There is a mystery in it, and there's also like a lot of darker revenge. So I'm kind
Ooh.
of playing around with those themes a little bit, which is fun. But mystery, I don't know if I'd be a great mystery writer.
I feel like you
I'd be like,
would.
let me tell you my secrets right now.
I feel like with Kerrigan, like I teased her one time. I was like, whenever she says like a character dies, and I was like, and then a character very similar pops up in the future, I'm like, hmm. I was
You're
like,
like, wait a
that's like a
second,
true and try character.
right?
I was like, wait. that's our hero. And she's like, how did you figure that out? I'm like, because you do that, Kerrigan.
I
You
love
say
it.
characters are dead, and I'm like, are they really dead? I need a
Right?
body. I need to like read about a body.
Prove it
No
to
body,
me.
no proof.
Right?
But would you ever go dark romance, dark historical? Like you are doing a little bit with the
Um,
YA, but like, would you ever go like Kerrigan Byrne level darkness?
I don't know that I would be. I like the light rom-commy, very like, frothy sort of feel. I think also like the time we're living in impacts what we write as writers. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously coming out of a, well, still in a pandemic, but coming out of like a very trying year, people want just that escape.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's also what I want to write. I find myself wanting to write. That might change. I remember I wrote this it never sold, but it was about like a fantasy about this girl who her parents were fighting and she had some eating disorders and self-harm stuff. And then she invents this place that she goes to escape, like most people who have mental health issues, and I do as well, like what I've done in my past, kind of invent. So it was a psychological thrillery type of book. And it was very interesting to write because you're second guessing every single page. And that was awesome to do, that whole unreliable narrator feel. So maybe I could do it in historical. I don't know. Something to think about.
Like, I love my unreliable narrators that you kind of like are supposed to not really root for, but like you kind of like you want to root for them. Like,
Yep.
I like imagine like the Gone, like I forget her name in Gone Girl.
Yeah, Gone Girl. That's what I was saying. Gillian
That's
Flynn.
like that's the vibe that I
Yep,
love.
yep.
I love that kind of like she's not a good person,
Right.
but like she's just allowed to be like who she is.
Yep.
And I like how bleak like that ending was. Like if it was a romance, I've been like, okay, it's just a dark romance. Like I'm fine. Like there's not that many things that faze me. Like if you just call it dark romance, I'm like, okay, it's par for the course. Someone's gonna do something really messed up. Everyone's gonna get over it.
Mine is like, as long as you put a novel after the title, I'm prepared. I know like someone's gonna die and there's no HEA. Like, what are all these books? Like, this book is about and it says a novel. Yeah, you know something's coming.
And that was a good question that I kind of brought up. I was going to ask, like, how do you kind of deal with like tropes with romance? Because I feel like sometimes romance can be a little bit trope heavy, and like that's how you can like sell books to a lot of romance readers. Do you ever feel that you kind of like think of your story first and then the tropes kind of come after that, or do you like have like, okay, I want to write like this trope, and then you build a story around that?
I have a general plot idea, and then my stories are usually very character driven, and then the tropes kind of fall in. Like once I have the plot idea, who the characters are and where they're going, that's kind of what I write. In one of my recent books, I don't know which one it was, but I really wanted to toy with the cinnamon roll hero a little bit because I just love, my husband's a cinnamon roll hero. And until I was like, look, you've got a name. Look, now I can call you that. And it was interesting kind of writing, especially after writing like alpha type heroes. How do you write a man that can balance, or a person that can balance another, his partner? And I feel like tropes are awesome. I have like some favorite ones, and I will literally go on my Kindle and search Secret Baby because sometimes I just need a Secret Baby romance, like right now.
Love those.
Right?
I love those so much. But I feel like that's a trope that a lot of people hate.
A lot of people hate it. They do.
But I love it so much, especially when the heroine's like doesn't want to tell the hero and plays coy about it.
Yep.
Like, oh, I love it. I just like kids in romance.
I'm like search billionaire, single dad, Secret Baby, enemies to lovers. Give me all the trope. Just one bed. I'll take it. I'll take them all.
And like it works every time for me. Like if you hit all my tropes, I'm like, okay, I can live. I can die happy. Like,
I swear to God, I'll see like a copy, a back jacket copy of a book. I'll be like, wait, twins? Okay, what does it say about twins? Like, and I remember, I think it's Jennifer Lynn Barnes who did this. She did a seminar at RWA talking about the id and stuff, writing down the things that you love, and put them in your work because it shows. And so, I try to do that. I think that's a really good advice. I'll try to look it up and send it to you. I don't know what it's called, but it was really interesting.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
Mm.
That's like one thing that I love about romance. Like most times with most romance authors, like they don't break the promises. Like you don't promise like an enemies to lovers when they're not even really enemies. Like that's a huge disappointment. I'm like, wait, they're enemies, but like they don't really hate each other.
Yeah.
They're just like indifferent to each other. I was
Yep.
like, if you're gonna give me the trope, like give me the trope. Like
Right.
maybe like I love the enemies and lovers. I love that like banter that you get from the two characters. Like they have this like huge animosity towards each other, but it's like really kind of thinly
Well, what it
masked
is
veiled like
it's
appreciation.
it's foreplay, right? So if you
Mm-hmm.
have that tension that's just building, especially when they're enemies, that
Mm-hmm.
when they like get together, it's gonna be good, like
Mm-hmm.
explosive, and that's what you want. I mean, that's what I want. That's what I want right now. I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna find a book and be like, I need this thing right now because Charles got me all like, want me to read something good. Look at this. I'm gonna read
Hey,
this.
ooh, I need to read more Lisa
She
Kleypas.
is
I
one of
haven't
my
read a ton.
favorite authors. And the best part about Lisa Kleypas is that she is a wonderful, wonderful human being.
Mm-hmm.
But if you love any of the books that we talked about earlier, like you will love her. This book, Dreaming of You with Derek Craven, is like awesome. She has a book, like so many of her books, like I've read every single one and they're all great. Like she's just a talented writer. And
Mm-hmm.
ever notice that? Like if you like meet an author and you like, and they're a really good person, you're like, I'm going to buy everything you've ever written at any point in your life. I've
Yeah.
done that for her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's phenomenal.
Oh, that's so cool. I haven't had people tell me to like fully invest in just read all the Lisa Kleypas that you can.
All right, ready?
I
Ready
read
for it?
her.
Ready for it?
No.
Hell. Oh, it's so
You just made like
nice.
half the
See,
people on
I,
BookTube jealous. They're just like,
I,
she has a signed copy.
I
What?
fangirl too. I fangirl like bad for her.
So, what are some of your favorite, including Lisa Kleypas as one of your favorite authors? Are there any other favorite romance authors or books that you have that you love?
Oh yeah, I mean, I read like quite, like I said, pretty voraciously. I have insomnia a
Mm-hmm.
little bit, so I'll end up reading. And there's a lot of like indie authors that I really love as well. Like I'll read anything Cian Crawford like puts out, Lindsay Hall. They're like all paranormal, and they're the best kind of reads because they're super fast and awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah J. Maas, A Court of Silver Flames. I just read it and literally could not put that book down. I mean, I'm scrolling through my like I'll read LJ Shen, like I love her writing.
Mm-hmm.
um Loretta, let me see it for historical. I've got like on my Kindle, I have Loretta Chase, 10 Things I Hate About the Duke, that I haven't read yet. And then a couple other books. I'm trying to see what else I've got here. Because I'll probably keep going on and on and on and on. Oh, anything by Ilona Andrews.
Oh,
Seriously,
they're good.
that couple, like they could write the phone book and I would read it and love
Mm-hmm.
it because so good. I've also bought everything they've ever written. So good.
Yeah, I just started them, I think about a month or two ago. I finally picked up, I think it was The Hidden Legacy.
Oh my
I
god, the
read the
Hidden
first
Legacy
two books.
series,
And
so
I read the
good.
first book, I was like, he's a psychopath, but
Everybody needs a
I like
Rogan.
it.
Everybody needs him. Everybody.
I was just like, how do you like, because like, if you want romance, you get your romance, but
Right?
then you also get like this really cool like action adventure type story that you don't technically like see in a ton of romances.
Yeah.
Like you mostly see like your contemporary kind of space where it's like kind of very simple, cut
Yep.
and dry. You have your tropes. You
Yep.
can do that very well. Like that's the thing that I love contemporary, but I was like, hold up. I was like, I want more of this. I
Yeah.
was like, I really like this.
The world building in there is phenomenal. Also,
Mm-hmm.
I'll shout out Beverly Jenkins because she's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And Diverse, go read her. She's so good.
Queen
So
Bev, like
talented. Yeah, I love Miss
we call her
Bev.
Queen Bev.
Yeah, we do.
Like go read some Queen Bev.
Right?
I felt
And
like
she is
such the
wonderful.
fool.
She is such a wonderful person as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was on a panel with her recently, and I'm like staring at her in the screen, going, "You're so awesome! You're so awesome!"
Like Beverly Jenkins and Nora Roberts are like the people that will clap back on you on Twitter
Right,
when you're
right.
talking some nonsense. I was like,
Yep.
I love these two women. I'm like, they're doing. just what Beverly Jenkins is doing in historical romance is so amazing because she
Yeah,
always gives
for
you like
sure.
that historical accuracy, but also is like a really, really great love story. And she shows so many different types
Right.
of like Black love stories
Hmm.
in different historical
Absolutely.
settings. And you don't
Absolutely.
see a ton of that in historical romance. So when I found your book, I was like, okay, we need more diversity in the
For
historical
sure.
romance space and kind of bridge out from like our normal England, Regency,
Yep.
Victorian set romances. I'm like, what does a romance look like in the Middle East or in Asia or something
Hmm.
like that, or even
Like
more American historicals?
we 100% need more diverse stories, especially in historical romance. And
Mhm.
what I love about my Miss Bev, she we went on the same panel when I was talking about some of the challenges that I had personally as a writer. She was like, "We're not a hive," and when she said that, it was like it's so true. There's so many different types of stories just because we're so many different types of people living all over the world, different parts of the diaspora. I'm biracial. I'm biracial Indian, Middle Eastern, Chinese, and French Creole. So tell me all the mixes in there. So sometimes, like, I feel like I don't really fit in anywhere,
Mhm.
but I still have a story to tell. You know what I mean? And the more stories we get, the better. The better it will be for everybody because it'll be
Mhm.
broad and accepting and wonderful and I think super
Yeah.
cool. We just need to get there. We need
Yeah.
publishers to buy more. We need more books.
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
I feel like it's happening a little bit more in the indie
hmm
space just because the pacing is
yeah,
so much faster with like indie publishing. Like some authors can like drop like 10 historicals in like 2 years versus
yeah,
when you're traditionally publishing, it can usually take a little bit longer.
yeah.
Like I do see more of those books coming out,
Hmm.
but sometimes I just love the indie
Oh,
space
yeah.
because like you could go into those topics. You
So
could
my
really kind of do some more taboo things.
Yep. So my friend Dahlia Rose, she's from Barbados, and she writes diverse stories of pirates on ships, and it's awesome. Like she's really cool, also. So yeah, and she's Indian. I love that. I love
Mhm.
that. We're seeing more of them. You're absolutely right. The freedom and the quickness to publication is definitely, I
Mhm.
think, a benefit in that space.
Yeah, and I love that we're getting two biracial characters in your next
Yeah,
series. I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah. Yep.
I'm like, give it to me, and it's represented on the cover too. I was like,
Oh, I love that so much. I was very, very, very pleased to see
mm-hmm.
that.
Because like with the Kiss Quotient released a couple of years ago, and you've seen like Talia Hibbert killing with the Brown sisters, like
Hmm.
contemporary starting to like really, really change. And I was like, I was surprised with the Kiss Quotient, that whole cartoony, kind of
Yeah.
really bright cover. I was like, that book was like high levels
Ha.
of heat.
Yeah.
I was like, I was not. I was like, what? I was
You're,
like,
you're like, this candy is like laced with something.
and then Talia Hibbert's coming out with
Yeah.
like a group of British like Black sisters that are wealthy and well off, and like their grandmother is absolutely amazing. I was like, and like what you're doing in the historical world, I was like, historical needs to catch up a little bit, but I love that
Yep.
you're giving us interracial, diverse romances that take us outside of like our usual London setting.
Yep.
So I feel like I love those. Don't get me wrong, I do love me like a good classic Duke romance and a Wallflower romance, but like I want more from the genre. I think it can grow and accept because I feel like historical readers, we read like books like two
Yeah.
books like a book every 2 days. Like I
Right.
can fly through a historical romance so easily.
Yeah, because it's delicious. I'm the same. I'm like, I can't go to sleep until I finish this.
Especially the tropes, like I'm like, oh, I can't be seen alone with you because I'll be ruined.
I
Like those like
know.
little things about the time that are
But
actually true,
but
like
then they
work
still
so
go
well.
then they still go into the arbor in the middle of a party and it's like, fools, what are you doing? But still do it, do it, do it, do it.
Like the propriety of
Oh,
it. I
like I
just
know.
I
What?
love that. And like it gives me like the tropes are like so baked into the historical times that like it just works so well for a romance. You're like, oh, we can't be seen alone together, but we want to be alone together.
I know, that's one of my favorite things about that Bridgerton scene where they're in the gallery and the backs of their hands touch, when they stand like this and you
Mm-hmm.
see the little fingers and you're like, oh, I feel it. I
You
feel it
feel the
in my heart.
emotion.
Oh, it's so, because it's so much of that. We can't be seen touching, or else we'll be forced to the altar, or something like
Mhm.
that. It's yeah.
I just love in historicals when like the heroine's like a widower or something like that, or has already been pretty like married in the past, or
Mhm.
like it's a spinster where the rules just kind of get flown out the window. So I'm like, oh, so we don't have to wait till marriage to get some
Right.
steam.
Oh, I think Jana McGregor, her new series is a widow series. So yeah, and I think that's super steamy, I believe. So
Okay.
she's someone to check out. Yep.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna add that to my TBR.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
probably just gonna pre-order the book because like if I put on my Goodreads TBR, it's gonna sit there. Like I need more incentives. So like I'll
Right.
pre-order and I'm like, oh wait, I pre-ordered this? Like happy like nice gift
Don't
to
you
me.
don't you love that when you open your Kindle app or whatever app you're reading, and something you've bought or pre-ordered shows up and you're like, oh my gosh, it's like my birthday or something. I love that. I love when that happens.
The only time I hate it is like when it's like the third or fourth book in the series and I haven't read the second book yet.
Oh
And
yeah. Oh yeah. Pressure.
I was like, ooh, now I feel pressure. Now I feel
Right.
triggered that I have to finish
Totally.
because I own all the books in the
Yep.
series. I was like, I only read the first two, but now I see I have two more waiting for me, which is great, but also like, okay, let me go read. I'm like the type of reader that like will go and start one book, go read another
Yep.
book, go and start another book, and then like,
Right.
oh wait, I remember that one book I started like 2 months ago, and hop back to that book, but yet it never gets confusing. I can jump around between books pretty well.
I love it.
And my final question for you is a really fun question. What have been some of the top three movies or TV shows that you've been enjoying so far?
Oh
It could be all
my
time or of
God.
this year.
Okay. My brother and I, because we are the coolest of the cool, dressed up as Sonya Blade and Scorpion to go watch Mortal Kombat last
No, you
night. I
didn't.
am telling you, we did. And of course, I didn't wear a tank because it was freezing, but like I still wore the combat pants and the boots and the like belt with all the stuff on it and the hat. But it's from the original Mortal Kombat, and he has like a scorpion costume. I put it on Insta, and it was so cool because we're the only people in the theater dressed up. But I was like, all right, we're doing this right. We'll put some cosplay in there. So that was fun. As far as TV series, I mentioned Bridgerton, binge that like in a day. And I really loved The Last Kingdom, which I also binged. That's
Oh
4 seasons of that.
yeah.
And I'm super excited for The Handmaid's Tale. That's supposed to be a new season coming out, season 4, and also The Witcher. Like, I need more of Henry. Like, seriously, with a sword, please.
Yep. I was like, why hasn't someone tapped him to like star in a romance? Like,
I know.
I was like,
Lois Lane
hey,
does not deserve him all alone. He needs to be shared.
like with the whole like Marvel thing, I was like,
Ugh.
why do I really want to read superhero like romances? Like, why is that a thing that like now I want?
It's the muscles, man. It's the muscles. They mess with your brain. You see, and those suits, like they're skin tight. It's like torture.
But how did you like the new Mortal Kombat? I saw it too.
It was like so nostalgic for me because I grew up playing that game.
Mhm.
And I was laughing out loud at parts, and I loved the fight scenes. Like,
Mhm.
literally when he yelled, "Get over here," we were all like fist pumping in the air. I enjoyed it. I mean, it was the first movie I've been to since pretty much January 2020. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
loved
been
it. I
you did.
loved it. I was like there was like one character death. I won't spoil it, but I was like, oh wait, I like that character. Like I love the whole brotherly
Oh, me
dynamic.
too. Me
I was like,
too. I was like,
hold up. I was
no.
like, it happened so quickly, and I was like,
Yeah.
wait, what? But then they said like the whole death is just another realm. I was
Right.
like, okay,
Yeah.
all these
Yep.
characters are probably gonna come back in some
Right.
way or form or fashion.
Somehow. Yeah. No, I loved it. And I love Sonya Blade's character as well.
Mhm.
I thought it was well done. And oh my gosh. what was the name of the dude with the metal arms? Because I
Oh,
was like, dude,
Jax.
may I take a photo of your abs, sir? Because they're very nice. Yeah.
Just like in the movie theater with your phone, like,
Right, I
"Sir,
know.
just pause the frame right there."
Just nobody pay attention to the light in the middle of the theater.
Oh my goodness, that is
Uh,
amazing. I don't know too. Have you started Shadow and Bone on
I have not
Netflix?
yet. I have not yet, but I am like super excited for it.
I binged the first 5 episodes
You
in one
did?
night. I was like, I love this. I wasn't a huge fan of the first 3 books, but I love the Six of Crows and how they weave them in.
Yeah.
I was like, Lee. I was like,
Oh, awesome.
kudos to you. Like, it's done so well. Like, and you even get this, like, not a spoiler, but you do get other characters hinted at
Oh, cool.
that
Okay.
come up later in the series. I was like, wait, they didn't tell us like these characters were going to be here. I was like, I like it. But, like, yeah, if you haven't, like, I
All
definitely
right. I'm
highly
excited.
recommend
No,
it.
definitely. Well, I love
They
anything
make you
fantasy,
believe.
so
They make you believe Mal and Alina are like Endgame. I was like, finally, like now I get it. Now I get why these two make sense. In the book, I was like, why don't you just go with Nikolai? I was like,
right.
he's right there. Well, I absolutely love it. You will definitely love it. But thank you so much, Amelie, for coming on
Oh
my
my gosh.
channel. I
Thank you
love
so
talking
much.
to you, kind of getting to pick your brain about all your books and also getting to hear about your new releases, which I think for everyone, I'm speaking for everyone, are just going to wreck our current TBR plans because all these books sound incredibly good. And I'm getting some arcs of these, so I'm like, I'm super happy. But thank you again, Amelie, for coming on my channel. I will link all of her social media links down below. I'll leave the pre-order link. The pre-order link. Oh no, sorry, it'll be the link to buy her newest release, which will be the day that this video is released.
Yay.
But other than that, thank you so much, guys, and I'll catch you guys on a brand new video. Bye.
Bye.